Alright, what's going on, everybody? So I went to see Godzilla and just thought I'd hit y'all up with a quick review. So before I get directly into it, let me just say that if you see this movie, if you haven't seen it yet and you plan to, do not see a regular viewing. Don't see a normal viewing. I think that goes without saying. Most people should know that, but I have to emphasize it. You have to see this movie in IMAX or viewing with enhanced audio. I recommend IMAX 3D because I'm not like a huge advocate for 3D, but I think this movie, I would say it's pretty worth the 3D and definitely, the whole IMAX and audio experience. And getting into the review, I'll I'll talk about why exactly, because there are certain situations where you want to really be immersed by the audio and the visuals in this movie, such as hearing Godzilla's roar. Godzilla's roar is so wonderful. It's like music. It's like if Godzilla was like Beethoven or something, it would be his symphony. It's so convincing and real and authentic and so good hearing him roar. It's so real. It didn't sound, it sounded perfect, and the visuals in the special effects, they took no shortcuts in this movie. You're not going to see any cheap tricks. They went to town with the visual effects. Nothing looked cheap or looked like it was done in somebody's backyard with a green screen or anything like that. They really went the extra mile with this movie. And, not that, and I mean, obviously they had the budget for it, but we've seen some huge budget movies look pretty tacky when it comes to the visual effects. So they took no shortcuts in this movie. The plot was pretty, I thought they would overcomplicate the plot in this version of Godzilla. Not that Godzilla ever had like some, really complex plot, but this day and age of movies, they try to make everything extremely deep and, I don't know, kind of dark. And this movie is kind of that way, but they don't overcomplicate the plot like that. It's still very entertaining. I definitely like the movie. So the plot was simple enough to follow. They didn't try to burden it with, too much background or anything like that. But the background that they did put in the movie, it was relevant. It was a good lead up to Godzilla. And one of the biggest complaints you'll hear from people in this movie is that there was not enough Godzilla. Yeah, it's ironic that this movie is obviously called Godzilla, and most of the movie you're not seeing Godzilla. But I would say the time that Godzilla is on the screen, I think he delivered. I think it was satisfying in my opinion. There were parts where you saw Godzilla and there was an action scene or a fight scene, and then they would kind of just cut from that part and go to another scene when they could have made that part last a little bit longer, and they would just do it again. It was like 2-3 times when they did that. You just gave us a quick short look at Godzilla, and then a cutaway happens to go to the other characters in the story until the end of the movie where you saw Godzilla really in action. Let me just say, Godzilla is a badass from the kind of short time he is on screen. And I gotta say, I liked the way Godzilla looked. He looked a little bit different than what I expected him to, but he definitely was a good model of Godzilla. I guess I expected, a lot of people were saying he was fat. He's not fat. I would say he's built. I expected him to be more slender in certain areas, but how they made him works great for me. I think it looks great. It's a little bit of a departure from what we expected or what you've obviously seen in other depictions of Godzilla, but it's great. So I really enjoyed the movie, the fighting, the action between these monsters. I'm not gonna really talk about the other monsters that are in the movie, but it really said that the movie really sets up for Godzilla 2, I would say, and it makes you think what is going to be the next monster they put up to go against Godzilla in the sequel to this, because Godzilla has a good number of interesting enemies that they could choose from. So it's really up to them And hopefully, I'm thinking like the next Godzilla will have a lot more. Godzilla will actually have a lot more screen time in his own movie. This movie kind of tried to concentrate on the human struggle from a human perspective of what was going on, and not much from Godzilla's perspective. Really, Godzilla was kind of just a secondary character, or third person, I guess you could say. So hopefully he will actually be like somewhat of a main character or the star of his next movie, and a little less. I think they always do that, and I guess I can relate it to Transformers in a way that they in the Transformer movies they always try to kind of ground the story by surrounding the story about humans. When most of us just want to see Transformers fight, they kind of got to ground the story with the human struggle to give it some emotion, to give it something to relate to. But we don't really care about that. We just kind of want brain dead fighting scenes with big giant robots. But they do that for whatever reason, because they feel like they have to. And that's kind of what they do in Godzilla, except they do a way better job at it. I actually cared about the human characters in this movie. I don't give a damn about those human characters in Transformers. Obviously, we know Bryan Cranston is in it. Heisenberg, of course. Everybody was excited that he would be in the movie. I'm not going to give anything away, but I'll just say he's in the movie. And he's one of those scientists, and he has one of those crazy, one of these theories about the monsters, and nobody really believes them. Obviously until everything hits the fan. What is it? How do you say his name? Ken Watanabe. I might have said his name right. Might have mispronounced it. He's also in it. He's another one of the scientists. There wasn't a lot of big name stars in this movie. Only like two well known, and it still really delivered. They didn't try to overcompensate with known actors to try to make the movie better. It was only really like two, and the movie was still great. It was some of the better acting I've seen. So I really enjoyed the movie. I recommend it. It's 2 hours long, but it didn't seem like 2 hours to me. It really didn't. It went kind of fast, even though there is a lot of dialogue. It doesn't seem to really drag on. It didn't drag on for me, so I enjoyed it. So let me know what y'all thought about Godzilla if you saw it. And he really took. I'm just gonna say Godzilla was watching Mortal Kombat. He's been watching Mortal Kombat to pull off what he did at the end. That was straight out of a Mortal Kombat character's move. I'm not gonna spoil it, but if you see it and you know Mortal Kombat fatalities, you're gonna be like, you stole that from you've been watching his moves. You seen his fatalities and you took that straight out of there. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Let me know what y'all think. I'm out of here.